How do I start this confession? मैं जो कुछ कहूँगी सच कहूँगी और सच के सिवा कुछ नहीं कहूँगी. Hi, I'm architect Monica Khosla Bhargav, founder and principal architect of Kham Consultants, an architecture and interior design firm. Today I'm going to be sharing some stories. You may call them an architect's loot, but I prefer calling them my personal experiences with upcycling. As an architect, we visit the site before construction starts. At that point, generally, there is an existing building on site either being demolished or waiting for demolition. And you won't believe the kind of treasures that I've picked up from the debris. And my clients know about it. They let me take it, I promise. The first story starts in the garden of a bungalow project. An existing house was being dismantled, and while chatting with my client, I discovered that this villa belonged to the former principal of my school. I noticed that some planters are being loaded onto a truck along with the rest of the rubbish. Two of these caught my notice, as they were these around 2 feet tall cylinders, quite an unusual shape for flower pots or urns in older properties. I pointed them out to my client and said, maybe we can retain or reuse these in the project. He said, no ma'am, I don't want these. You can have them if you want, and asked the workers to load them in my car. So they came home with me. As I cleaned off the mud from the surface, an inscription emerged. Raniganj, station filter, Burn & Co. There seemed to be a spout for a tap. Of course, I logged on to Google to check. These seem to be fire clay or terracotta water filters manufactured by Burn & Co. for the East Indian Railways, which was set up by the British East India Company. I'm inserting a picture here for you to understand what a terracotta water filter looks like. But they seem to be dating back to 1855, when the first railway line in Eastern India was extended from Howrah to Raniganj. Now I move on to my second story. This takes me to a site where a commercial building was going to come up. A large 2-storied mid-century house existed on the site. This style is quite commonly seen in the older properties of South Calcutta. Solid Burma teak wood seemed to be everywhere. In the doors and the windows, they were painted, but my sixth sense was saying that this was good quality wood. In fact, in the veranda, I saw a rolling shutter made with wooden louvers and being operated by a pulley. And this is something I had never seen before. So it was quite obvious that the previous owner was an engineer. I asked my client if we could repurpose these in the new building. See, I always ask. But the client felt that these were not in the style that he had as a vision for his new building. This was about the time my own house was being built. I offered to buy 14 of the doors at the price fixed by the valuers, which was around 2,500 rupees per door. Now these doors, they were 8 feet high, but the bottom part was a bit worn off. So I was forced to cut off the few inches from the base. And to accommodate this, I cast the lintels of my house at 7 feet 10 inches. Now during construction, I realized that I needed to add a door to the electric meter room, and I hadn't calculated this. So I went back to the client. In the meantime, the building was being demolished and the doors had been sold. So I traced the kabadiwala to whom the doors had been sold and bought back one door at 3,500 rupees. Do you think this was a bad deal? I don't think so. Because after restoration and upcycling, these doors should be valued at, say, 50,000 rupees each. Now at this same site, the existing flooring was in the traditional checkered or the barfi pattern, which we see so commonly in the old Calcutta houses. Generally, it's the black and white pattern that we see, but this one seemed a bit special. It seemed to me that alabaster had been used to contrast the exquisite white marble, but I couldn't be sure. So we called in an expert, and yes, sure enough, it was alabaster. We decided to salvage the marble. Traditional flooring in old Calcutta houses is laid in lime mortar, so it's quite easy to remove the floor without destroying the marble, and we do it all the time in renovation projects. But the alabaster was quite soft and it crumbled while dismantling. Only the white Carrara marble 1 inch thick could be salvaged. Now, since the pieces were few and many of them were broken, the client felt that he didn't want to reuse it. So with his permission, I brought the marble home and laid it in my veranda. And I must really thank him because he didn't accept any payment for the marble too. And now my last, most interesting and possibly scandalous story of the day. This opens in the courtyard of a century-old Calcutta house in the Dalanbadi style. My client told me that this was the house of a gold smuggler who lived here with his 3 wives. I don't know if that's true, but this is what he shared with me. So the house was in 3 parts with these 2 courtyards separating the 3 zones, with corridors and rooms surrounding both the quadrangles. A lot of wood had been used in the spandrels. That's the vertical louvered sunshade that we see so commonly in Calcutta architecture. I'm inserting a picture here so that you know what I'm talking about. The client was wondering if we could reuse the wood. I'm all for reuse, of course. As we walked around, I felt there was a room which we were missing. Yes, besides the 35 rooms that we could see, there was one room which had no door or window. Now, what do you think we found in that room when we broke it open? Let me know in the comments and I'll confirm whether your guess is right. And if you enjoyed these stories, then press the like button and subscribe to my channel. Also, let me know if you want a part 2. See you next time.